challenges after that final practice. And, of course, having Kevin Harvick behind the wheel is pretty good. Hasn't had a complaint yet through 35 laps.
Harvick's such a big part of how they adjust this car. I mean, you can't just say, well, the driver drives it and the crew chief sets it up. It's definitely the interaction. And Harvick knows what he needs to be good. And no matter what kind of curveball you can throw him at this racetrack or any of them, really, he can figure it out pretty quickly. It looks like he's got this one figured out.
Changes in car configuration, changes in tires, changes even in track surface and grip and so on. And yet that feel, a driver's looking for a certain feel in a car, and if you can give it to him, it's probably going to be a pretty good thing.
Yeah, it really is. And you have somebody like Kevin Harvick that has won at these tracks and knows what he's looking for there. And Kevin's a good chassis man. He understands that, so he can give Ernie Cope and other crew chiefs ideas of what he's looking for and what he may need and what it may take to get to that field.
Got around Brian Scott for 6th place. Here he's pursuing Kyle Larson for 5th.
It's interesting to watch Kevin Harvick at different places as to what his car's got. And I'll use here as a great example. It looks like that maybe his car is, the drive off is okay, but it's not the best. But it looks like his car is really comfortable to him getting down in the corner. And this is as hard as you'll see Kevin Harvick charge the corners. And so he's able to make time in that respect right now. Now, if they get the drive off better, then he may change that driving style to suit that. Really good at adapting to his car.
He's trying to get to the outside of Larson. I think Larson's had enough. He's probably going to let him have this spot.
And sometimes it's not bad just to get behind, see where this guy's making time. He was able to run me down. Let's get back here. You can see Larson, though. It looks like his car's pretty loose right now.
Yeah, he better pay attention quick because he might not be able to watch this car.
These drivers in cars, they didn't really see this upper groove come in their practice session yesterday. That all kind of happened this morning. The majority of it in the first Sprint Cup practice. And really widened this track out in a hurry and seeing the groove that we haven't seen here over the last few years that we utilized. It was there, but you didn't go up there and make any speed.
Kyle Busch has done all the leading, but Kevin Harvick's been a lot of the show in the opening laps tonight here in Richmond in the Virginia 529 College Savings 250. Started pretty far back, 15th place. He's picked his way all the way up into the top 5 by 40 laps. College football action on ABC tomorrow has a big early season Pac-12 matchup with Cody Kessler and the Trojans visiting Kevin Hogan and the Cardinal. It's USC Stanford at 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific on ABC Saturday, followed immediately by the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race here at Richmond on ABC. Pretty sight, isn't it? Beautiful racetrack here in the capital of the Commonwealth. Reinvented this way between the spring and fall races of 1988 by the Sawyer family, a track that most drivers really love to run on. Kind of the perfect stock car track. Not too fast, not too slow. Room to pass, raceable lanes, and Kyle Busch is showing the mastery of it right now tonight. He's led all the laps so far, and he's opened up a 2.5-second gap on the race for second. Ryan Blaney and Chase Elliott. Here's the gap. There's second. Talk about the future of the sport. It's always been what this series has been about, right? Young drivers testing themselves against the best and learning the tracks and the style of racing on the bigger tracks with the bigger cars. Here's Ryan Blaney, 20 years old, and Chase Elliott, 18 years old. And I understand they're in good equipment, but about every time they're out here, showing themselves to be the future.
Yeah, they really are. And this is where you measure yourself and show the owners in the Sprint Cup Series that, hey, I can compete. You give me the equipment, I have the ability to compete with these drivers that race in the Sprint Cup Series and win on a regular basis. And the future is bright. You can see that right here. Two very talented young men at 18 and 20 years old are going to be in Sprint Cup cars in the very near future.
Chase Elliott was really hard on himself at the end of the Atlanta race last Saturday night for the Nationwide Series when he was in contention and then on a critical late pit stop slid through his box and lost some track position. and got out of the car afterwards and said, unacceptable on my part. There it is. Simple mistake, just caught the end of that front line.
Yeah, it was only by inches that he did.
And it happens to the best drivers. I mean, we see this happen all the time. But he was a little hard on himself. He holds himself to a pretty high standard. And I think that's why you see him doing as good as he's doing. He's constantly trying to make himself better as well as the team.
And your reaction to that after the race was how refreshing you found it, that attitude that he had.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, so a lot of times you hear, well, you know, it had an excuse for this or that or the other, but he makes no excuses for any mistake he makes. And I think the team really likes that. It rallies around that. I think it is refreshing that you have a driver that is maybe a little hard on himself, but at least, you know, he'll call himself out if he makes a mistake.
Yeah, and that's an extreme situation there. I mean, you can't blame the driver for trying a little bit harder there at the end. He had made a couple of pit stops, but it was time to try to get just that little bit of extra, and it was just by inches that he missed it. But he does such a tremendous job. I think the crew, Greg Ives' crew chief, they probably all appreciated the effort that they get every week from this young man.
Absolutely, DJ. You know, after he finished second to Kevin Harvick here back in April, he climbed out of the car, put his head down, and apologized to Greg Ives. He said, he just outdrove me. I've got to get better. And Greg said, are you kidding me? You just lost to one of the all-time best at Richmond, Kevin Harvick, and you're 18 years old. Now, right now, Greg Ives has told Chase Elliott, this car doesn't go anywhere for 25 or 30 laps. And after lap 30, you're the fastest thing on the racetrack. Right now, he's a tenth quicker than the leader, Kyle Busch. That's just a little bit loose on entry. Dave Byrne.
And Doc, the 22 team knows that he's gaining on them. And Ryan Blaney has described his car as free into the corner and tight through the center. Spotter Joey Meyer told him that's exactly where you're getting beaten. So that's where Ryan's having to manage his race car. The exit of the corner is very good, and he believes that that's better for Ryan than it is for Chase right now. So kind of 2/3 in favor of the 9, maybe 1/3 in favor of the 22, and pit stops coming up soon, AB.
Okay, thanks. So Kyle Busch has led all the laps. Ryan Blaney 2.5 seconds behind him with Chase Elliott, Matt Kenseth, and Kevin Harvick rounding out the top 5. Just the one caution in the race so far for the spin back at lap number 2. And by the way, Jamie Dick's 55 car and Kevin LePage's 74, both damaged in that incident, and both now retired from the race. The quarter of the way in tonight's NASCAR Nationwide Series race. Richmond International Raceway. Kyle Busch out in front. Pit stops coming up. And a reminder that NASCAR.com/RaceBuddy has enhanced here at Richmond, including all the highest forward. Long time. Elton used to boom out there. They were around it. As Kyle Busch is towing at a really fast pace, and he's about to put the 15th place. Just in a lap down, Dylan Kwasniewski. Whoa, hang on there.
Yeah, Ray Melton would have said he was up there in the championship groove.
Yeah. That was an interesting moment there for Kyle. Opened up 2.5 seconds on Ryan Blaney.
You can see this 54 car really sliding around, though. He's doing the best job of sliding his around of anyone out there.
And for a team that has been frustrated in recent weeks by running in contention in a lot of races but not taking home a trophy, right now it's all looking pretty good for Kyle Busch and company out in front of this one, Dave.
It is, Alan, for sure. His car is not right. They'll get some adjustments on that first stop. Well, you guys were talking about the field that a driver looks for, and Kyle has won here before. I asked his crew chief, Adam Stevens, how close they got in practice this weekend. Adam said 80 to 90%. But then came the gully washer, a huge rainstorm that shortened the practice sessions yesterday. He said we were on a path, and we were going to try some more things, so we put those on for qualifying. And, of course, Kyle qualified on the pole. So they've gone the right direction, but they definitely need some adjustments when they come in.
And they'll get that chance very soon as we come up on a window for an opening round of green flag pit stops. I know for a lot of folks it sounds a little bizarre, But as we were talking about in qualifying earlier today, for a team that's used to winning 10 to 13 races a year in the past handful of years, for Kyle Busch to have gone since Dover, end of May, and not have taken home a trophy is kind of unusually long.
Yeah, it is. I think it's indicative of the competition level we've seen this year. Junior Motorsports cars have really shown a lot of strength.
Got a trouble.
Car in the wall.
Yeah, heard a tire go out there.
Chad Boat. Caution flag out.
Roll middle. You got a couple coming. You got one more on the bottom. 19.3. Then you're clear if you can turn it down. Turn it down right there if you can.
One thing that we didn't probably point out before the race started here was just the extreme heat that you can build up as a driver by overusing the brake. The tire's going to be fine, but they'll melt the bead, the inside of the tire, and then they'll blow out.
And that's a tough break for the young 23-year-old from Arizona who has found the wall in turn 3 in a pretty bad way.
Well, you can see right here. Go in the corner. Dale said he thought he heard that tire blow. Definitely let go.
Yeah, you can see right there. It went down. But as a driver, if your car's not handling, you have two things you can do. You can either back out of the throttle early and not use the brakes, let it roll, and you're just going to be slower, or you can continue to try to drive it down in, apply brake, and that's just going to build up that heat there, and eventually you're going to find yourself in trouble.
Yeah, what happens, these brakes, they'll do a lot. I mean, they'll take a lot of heat. You see those rotors glowing red all night long. If you overdo it, if you get them just a little too hot, that heat transfers into the wheel, and then it melts that bead, and then all bets are off.
I've never raced anything more than a go-kart competitively, but every time I see one of those replays where you see that car lurch down on the right front and take off for the wall, it makes me cringe.
Terrible feeling as a driver, I suppose.
So, caution flag out for the second time in this one. And pit road open here. And the crews will go to work for the first time. Just 14 cars left on the lead lap in that opening stretch of racing. Here they come, Doc.
Chase Elliott loose in, some questionable drive off. The call will be for 4 tires, air pressure change left front, half a round down on the track bar, and Sunoco fuel. Vince.
Matt Kens at the bottom left of your screen just needs more grip everywhere. So it's just going to be a 4-tire change, Sunoco fuel. Dave?
Right side of the screen, second and first. Both cars are free in. They need a track bar adjustment and air pressure adjustment. Both need Sunoco fuel. They'll get it. Kyle Busch, who's led every lap, will lead the race off of pit road as well.
Watch the results as they come out. Gain for Elliott Sadler. NASCAR Nationwide Series wrapping up its second caution tonight here at Richmond with Kyle Busch holding the race lead on the pit stop. Reminder that college football primetime presented by Hampton Hotels comes to you from the Horseshoe in Columbus. Tomorrow night, Frank Beamer's Virginia Tech Hokies taking on Urban Meyer's Ohio State Buckeyes. That's tomorrow at 8 Eastern on ESPN and live on Watch ESPN. A game that certainly will have a lot of folks around here interested.
The Hokies better be on their game. They're going to keep up with the Buckeyes tomorrow.
I guess. So as the field gets the one-to-go signal, there's been a lot of talk about tires during this race and during this day of coverage from here in Richmond because of the new tire combination that Goodyear has selected and brought here. And the team's just got their first good look at them under racing conditions just now.
Tire wear looks pretty good. That should not be an issue tonight. Okay.
Scott Cipodelli to Kyle Larson. What are you seeing, Doc?
Well, we're seeing some significant tire wear. The 3-car Ty Dillon and a couple of others who have been tight in the middle. Right front and left rear are completely worn, but no cords showing. So Goodyear's done a nice job. The tires are wearing, but we're not seeing any exposed cords. And a couple of Cup crew chiefs down here looking and saying, wow, I haven't seen tires worn that much in less than 100 laps in a long time. But no cords exposed so far.
You can see the tire's got that gummy look to it, though. You can tell it's putting a lot of rubber into the racetrack.
Pace car's off.